Another busy day today. We had some friends stop over yesterday unexpectedly. Had this whole day.
You're live.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? So we're just talking here, so I was gonna keep talking. Yeah, yesterday I had this day planned out. I just literally woke up real early and just sat in the Word till about 2:30 in the afternoon, and then was gonna just relax, and some friends that we haven't seen in a while, some really good friends were in the neighborhood, with their kids, they called, so we might stop by for a minute. And that turned into hours, which was good. But so a couple of things. The people we were talking to our friends yesterday were looking, for places to give and everything. And I'm gonna, I can't say enough. If you're looking for a place to give, Ambassadors to the Nation, all your money plus more, they chip in. You give $10 a month. You sponsor a child in Nicaragua and Mexico, and I don't know if they do another place now. Congo, and you can get more involved and build houses for a few $1,000s. Brenda and myself have been there before. And when you sponsor the kids, you get letters and you get like pictures from them. You can buy them Christmas presents if you want, birthday presents. But when we were over there, we got to meet some of the kids we sponsor. And it's really awesome. They get a uniform. You have to have a uniform to go to school there. They get a Christian education and food for $10 a month. And I asked them, I said, how can $10 a month cover it? And they said, it doesn't. The church pays all the admin and whatever extra cost the church that they're out of in North Carolina. This woman, Karen's her brother's church. They pay the extra. And they said the Lord told them years ago for $10 a month, this is what you're going to do. And he never told them to up the price. So for $10, I don't know what it cost, maybe $20, whatever the extra is. So a lot of places they brag if 70% of your money goes. This is more than 100% goes. So they're super. Andrew Womack just had them on his Bible study. Me and Brenda know them pretty well, and they're just super, super down to earth country people. You'd love them if you met them. You'd love them. You'd know that they're the real deal, do the real thing. Then if you need healing, 39 Reasons Healing is Yours. It's the Teredez's book, and you can go to teredezministries.com. They have a lot of free resources, free online Bible college, but we have these here. You can have them for free. And then if you're new to the Lord or checking it out, The New You and the Holy Spirit, this is a book by Andrew Womack, and we give them away here free. If you're watching online, we can put these in the mail to you at no cost. We'll pay shipping and everything. So these are free. And then there's other resources you can get and other people you can check out. If you're looking to get news these days, I would recommend Joseph Z and Lance Wallnau. And if you need their spellings of their names, Joseph Z, you should be able to get that, just Joseph Z, and then Lance Wallnau. They are speaking, telling us what's going on in the world through biblical eyes, and they're prophets, so they can tell you. They really do tell you what's coming. They've been pretty accurate, so it's really a good resource if you want to do something beyond Instagram or whatever. I get my news from them, then I ask Robin and Brenda for my news for the day. They're like my news team in the morning. What else do I want to say? Oh, April 9th. So mark your calendar. It's a Saturday. It's going to start like 6 o'clock. Is that what we're going to say? 5:30, 6? What do you want to do? Let's pick a time. 5:30 or 6. We're doing a Holy Spirit hearing night, encounter night. What?
It's at least 6:30.
6:30?
7.
All right. How about 6:30 to 8 or so? We'll start at 6:30. I want people to go home and get some rest so they can get up for church the next day. So we'll have it on our website somewhere between 6 and 7 on Saturday, April 8th. April 9th, Saturday, April 9th, we're going to have we've had it here before. We do a Holy Spirit night. People will be moving the gifts. People will be praying for you. Come expecting to be healed. And we see a lot of good things. And, the Holy Spirit has been speaking to us to do it. And we've just been putting it off too much. So April 9th, we're going to do it. It'll be right here. If you are going to come, it is good to send us an email, whatever, just so we can kind of keep track in case we got to, expand to outside, whatever. But it'll be a great night, and come and be part of it. Come and and be part of it. It's going to be awesome. So that's Saturday, April 9th, right here in Bolton. You can watch online, but but if you're in the area, you should just drive here and come here because it's going to be awesome. And God can do things for you from a distance, but you can't. It's hard to build relationships on Facebook and YouTube and things like that. So if you're watching, we're on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then Robin, it's not live, but we're uploading our videos to
Rumble.
Well, we're going to be doing a lot with Rumble because they don't censor you and take your videos down and all that kind of thing. So it'll be Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then after the fact, they'll be on Rumble. Did you already put some videos on Rumble, Robin?
I did 4 last night. I'll do some more this week.
So Robin put 4 videos on last night and then sets up the church. Thanks, Robin. Tithes and offerings, we were talking to some people yesterday and stuff, and people go through a phase where we get so super spiritual and so super into the gospel. We've been there where you're like, tithing's not for today, and then God slaps you like, it is, right? So it does pass through the cross. It is a biblical thing. Kevin and Donna are watching on Zoom. Hey, Kevin and Donna, they have grandkids today, and grandkids trying to tell your grandkids to sit still at a zoo is not really. Abby does it, and then I does it with pretty good. He's here too, but I don't know. If I was a kid, even an adult at a zoo, I would not sit still, right? Kevin and Donna were talking about, they got their tithes and offerings all squared away, and then a house they were trying to sell for a long time sold, right? So it's not a coincidence. Brenda and I have been each year trying to give more. I have an ultimate goal that we know people that did it in 2016, the Lord, during Bible college. The Lord, maybe it was before that, because I think we graduated in 2014. I was listening to a Barry Bennett class, and just came over me. Someday I want to give away 90% of my income and live on 10%. And I think it was definitely a word from God, because if you know me, I do love to give, but it takes me a while to get there to love to give. So I'm trying to shake off that poverty mentality still, but that's where we're trying to get. So every year we try to give more. And just a long story short, in the midst of all the shutdowns and pandemic and all the fear and all that stuff, where you weren't allowed to do business and all that properly over the last couple of years, we had set goals for Animal Adventures income, and we've shattered that this past year. And then we set goals. I had a goal in mind for our own personal income, and we surpassed that. And we give more than we've ever given.
And our giving more than doubled from previous years.
Yeah, so we doubled our giving. Doubled our giving during a hard time, and everything went up. Our gross here. Now, here's the thing, though. The Lord has wisdom, because He knew there'd be a demonic person in the office, and the Lord saw the gas prices going up and the oil prices going up, and He saw everything we do getting more expensive, and He blessed us so that we could keep pace until we could cast them out, pray. And we all need to be praying. The Lord's really been speaking to me and Brenda a lot. Me, Brenda, and Robin went out to see our friends, John and Everett. They pastor a church in Gardner. They're actually going to come up today and see us this afternoon. And just praying and praying and praying and praying to cancel stuff. We were praying to cancel. Don got a word to pray to cancel the show The View. Right? So if you want to stand with us, we're praying, not praying injury, we're praying for cancellation of The View. We're praying for cancellation of the people in the White House. And I don't want the Christian people, Romans 13, we gotta be listening to the government. Absolutely misunderstanding that scripture. It says you obey and are obedient to a godly government. And God set up the system, but God does not place the individual person. We do that with our prayer and our voting. And so if you're a Christian, you think, well, God put Joe Biden in office and Nancy Pelosi 100% missing. You got to get back into the Word.
God wanted us to just have judges, not presidents and kings.
Yeah, God never set up, it's true, presidents and kings. That was a human thing, and God gave us what we asked for. And sometimes when you ask for something, you probably all remember being a kid and begging your parents for something, and then you got it, and it wasn't nearly what you thought it was going to be, right? Like you empty all the cereal out to get that toy. It used to be in there. With Cracker Jacks. The ring never fit me in Cracker Jacks. It just fell right off. It was so disappointing. So, we got to be careful and pray for what you want. So if you want to give, last thing I'll put on giving is we are definitely honing in on a property. We are looking at a property now. It may be the one for the Lord that we're going to get, but whenever the Lord says, we get this close, we're meeting with real estate people and going over income, and we're praying about it and telling people about it. If it's not this one, it's going to be the next one. Like, it's coming soon. So we are going to have a chance for people to just want to partner and give monthly to help, us be able to move into and afford a new spot. And it'll be amazing. It's going to, wherever we go, wherever town it ends up in, we're going to be a blessing to that town. We're talking about having like a Christian charter school. There's a lot we're going to do because you know what? If you are sending your kids to public school, I know it's hard and I know there's arguments, but it's not a safe place anymore for your kids to go. When you have to think about it. Just forget about Christian, forget about Democrat, Republican, all that. I'm not neither. I'm independent, unenrolled, they call it now. Forget about all that stuff. Just say, forget about even thinking like, you're watching this, and don't forget about even thinking from a godly standpoint, just from a second. You're just a parent and you're sending your kindergartner to school. Do you want them learning about transgender or helping your teachers try to figure out if they're a boy or a girl? And I'm thinking, I don't want my kindergartner to learn about heterosexual relationships. I don't want anybody talking to my children at a little age about sex. Now, okay, if they're going to do it in high school, whatever, I still think it's a parent's job. And, my kids are in school, we have the right, if you're going to be teaching the kids sex ed, no, they're going to stay home, and we'll tell them what we want when we want to tell them. That's a parent's job. How is your school teaching you about sex going to help you get a better job? Okay? No, well, it's for the health. Well, maybe you're teaching different principles than we teach, because there's really only one way to avoid health and pregnancy, we know, because in my house it's trial and error.
Science. It's science.
It's not science. Don't even give me that garbage, because I'm done with, please don't go there. Anybody, the Lord told me to stop debating. I thought I was mature enough to start preaching creationism again, and then someone said something, and I'll call it righteous anger, and a little bit of flesh rose up, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm not mature enough to debate people about that. Just stop being so stupid, please. I don't know how else to say it. It's just like, it's ridiculous. You can justify, if you want to be stupid, you can justify it in a million ways. Just stop trying to tell yourself it's okay for someone to teach your kindergartner about transgenderism. They don't even know it at that age. I mean, they don't need to know anything about sex. If you want to tell them at home, that's your decision. But when Disney people walk out and quit their job, and we got to stand up to Disney. I know people want to go, but we've got to come up with something better, because it's full of pedophiles and it's demonic. I'm not mad at the people, I'm mad at the demon, but I'm just saying it's demonic. And now the new Pixar movie, they were going to take out a lesbian scene in a kids movie, and then Pixar writers threatening the CEO of Disney Cave. So if you go and see the new Buzz Lightyear movie, you'll see lesbians. Your children are going to go to a Disney movie and see a lesbian scene in a movie for kids, animated. So tell me that's not the devil. And if that's okay with you, man, you gotta pray. You should just have someone give you a smack upside the head if you think that's okay. So at some point we gotta say, you know what? Entertainment is not worth opening up the door to the devil for our children. I mean, it's your choice. I know if we boycott everything, then we'll have nothing to do because of the world we're in. I want to boycott China, and then I realized my son couldn't play hockey without a Chinese-made hockey stick. So I mean, we're all somewhere, but I'm talking about having your kids subject to demonic filled pedophiles, and I don't think that should be okay with anybody. So move on. Just in case, if you're not sure where we stand as a church, you might know. So the Lord just showed me, I've been listening to a lot of Bill Winston, and then Bill Winston, his preaching has just coincided with what I'm reading in the Word. Like I'll read something in scripture and then I'll listen to Bill Winston or 2 or 3 other preachers and they're all saying the same thing. And so I just kind of, take everything as a download from the Lord and then just put it on paper or a tablet or whatever. And so I'll share it with you today. It's, if you like titles, it's like imagine, meditate, and become. Whatever we imagine and whatever we meditate on, eventually you will become. I was talking to my son Joshua. Like, if you think that, being a Christian, you walk in the favor. My son Joshua has opportunities coming up for him in hockey. I mean, he's a very good player, but there's another million players his age that are just as good. And he has all these doors opening up with, pro trainers and scouts and coaches and all this. And every person at that level that I talk to says the same thing. Show me who your son's hanging around with, and I'll tell you his future in the sport. And it's the same thing. I say the same thing to him. He's like, Dad, these kids aren't bad. They're not bad. They're just lazy, right? And they don't have your goals. And maybe they're good kids, and that's what God called them to do with that. But if you have goals and you want to move forward, you've got to surround yourself with people that are not saying you can't do it. You don't have the education. You got to surround yourself with the right people and get the right mindset. Because if you keep hearing no, and negative, I have a relative who I love dearly, but whenever I would have ideas, they would say right away, the first word to come out of their mouth, let me play the devil's advocate. And that should be a red flag. Right? It's okay to do the old Abe Lincoln, write down the pros and cons, but let's just leave, because if you have an idea and you're excited about it, and before you even have the idea out, someone's already telling you all the reasons why it's not going to work. It takes some steam out. We got in Proverbs 23:7, which everybody knows that goes to church. Everybody knows this. New King James Version says, as he thinks in his heart, so is he. As he thinks in his heart, so is he. The rest of the verse, which people don't ever quote, it says, eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. Okay, so the first part of that scripture is very important. As you think in your heart, that's what you're going to be. So you can smile, and in this case, it says, eat and drink, he says to you, but he is not with you. And it's like, well, the Lord showed me, it's like if you have people, if let's say you invite a bunch of people out to dinner, and the Lord tells you you're going to pay, right? And you're going, and you're watching what they order. You're looking at the menu and you're going, hope they get the burger. It's still $9.95. Don't get the fish. Do not get the surf and turf. That's like right. Like if you're thinking like that, you're like, hey, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to pay for your meal. And inside, you're having this eternal battle. Not that I've ever done this more than a dozen times. Okay, but you're having this cheap side of you, and so you have to fix that. And you can fix it on the spot and go, you know what, I am so blessed. I hope they get the surf and turf. I hope they get an appetizer, and I hope they get cheesecake for $6.50 for dessert, right? I hope they get it all. But you have to have that mindset. So as you keep thinking, but if you sit there and you just think in your heart and you never don't correct that, geez, I hope they don't get an appetizer, or hope they ate before they came out, right? And you just keep thinking on cheap and cheap and cheap, then you're gonna get to the point where you're not, instead of blessing somebody and enjoying it, you're gonna be aggravated or whatever, and you're gonna get that poor mentality, like, I could afford the cheeseburger is what I was thinking, but I can't afford this, So you say, eat for in his heart, so is he, eat, drink, he says to you, to your face with a smile, hey, I love you, and then you walk away and they say something opposite. So we want to make sure, as we think in our heart, that we become that person. So whatever we want to, whatever you meditate and imagine, you want to get into your heart, and that is what you're going to become. So we have to watch our thoughts a lot. And I struggle with this myself, and I have to, even this morning in the shower, I'm praising, worship, and then a thought comes in, and I have my little, mini ninja episode in my brain that I'm like, cast that out because the Lord will fight your battles, Matthew 12:33 in the New Living Translation says, a tree is identified by its fruit. If a tree is good, its fruit will be good. If a tree is bad, its fruit will be bad. The New King James Version says a tree is known by its fruit. Either make the tree good and its fruit is good, or else make the tree bad and its fruit is bad. For a tree is known by its fruit. So we have to be careful if people are fake, right? And if you are in the world, you deal with people that gossip and can smile, and you see them talking in a little group, and they're all best friends. Then one person leaves the group, and now they're talking bad, right? So you're eventually that will come to the surface. If you don't get to be who God wants you to be in your heart, you can't hide it for so long. It's like you can tell people, hey, I just planted an apple tree and watered it, it's growing, and you're telling everyone it's an apple tree. And then when lemons get produced, right, they know that you didn't, plant an apple tree. So we just really want to get who God is deep into our heart and meditate on it. And there's so many scriptures, and we'll go over the next week or two, and just keep looking up, scriptures. Just Google, who does God say that I am? And just Google different things. God's love, God's compassion. But we really want the world to see. We want to, if we are if we are who we want to be, the world should see us producing fruit. And fruit for a Christian is everything that we do. We're not we're not pansies. We're not weak. We're not getting taken advantage of. But everything that we do has to pass through the filter of love. And that's why if I get into a scientific debate with somebody, I still feel like there's some righteous anger, and then there's a bunch of flesh that gets piled on top of that, because I'm like, it shouldn't be this difficult for you to understand, right? That if you believe in evolution, you have a major complexity problem. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that, if you have to design a water bottle that costs 7 cents filled with water, then maybe the human brain, that is the most complex thing in the universe, may have had to have a designer behind it, right? So to me, it just seems very simple and logical. And then when you have people that are like a third year age who probably can't read a book from cover to cover, tell you that they don't believe what you believe because they believe in real science, you're like, come here. I just need to choke you, right? So it's like, so that's why I can't debate anymore, because I want to choke you too quickly. That's not passing through the filter of love, right? So we want to produce good fruit, which means if somebody comes to you for advice, we want to be able to give them godly wisdom, right? If somebody comes to you with a pain, we don't want to say, take 2 Advil in the morning and 2 at night, right? We want to say, take 2 scriptures in the morning and take 2 scriptures in the night. We want to, or pray for them and see them healed. We want to produce fruit, that we're supposed to be producing fruit. If we're coming to church every week and we're going to Bible study and we're telling people about Jesus and we're still producing junk, we have a problem in our heart. We have to, don't condemn yourself. We've got to rip out the old root and kind of get ahead of myself and replace it. What we meditate on, what we imagine, ultimately is what we manifest in our lives. It may not be instantly. I thought about, for 24, 25 years, off and on for a long time, that someday I'm going to have a Dodge Durango. And then I got a van, and I kind of put that to aside. Then, 24 years later, after standing in front of my building over there, we get a Dodge Durango, and then we end up with 2. It's, eventually, if you keep it in your brain and in your heart, it will come to pass. But it also works in the opposite way. In Job 3:25, New King James Version says, "For the thing I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me." So let me read that again. "For the thing I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me." So if you're fearing it and you're dreading it, you're thinking about it. You're imagining things that can go wrong. And man, the devil will come at you when you have children and they leave the house and they're gone for 5 minutes, and then there's a siren going by, and I pray over my kids over every time they're out. Skies up last night, and the thunder was so loud here, it literally shook our house. And so I'm like, I better go check on Anaya. I thought my granddaughter would be, hysterical. I go in there, she's looking at her tablet late at night, laughing. And I'm like, "You okay?" She's like, "Yeah, Papa. Why?" I'm like, "Oh, it was a little loud." She's like, "Yep, back to the tablet, So, but I'm praying. I'm like, geez, it's raining heavy. Joshua was on his way home, and so you're praying, and your brain can start to imagine bad things. So you got to cast that out right away and say, Lord, it doesn't matter what the weather is. I prayed over my children every day. They're blessed and highly favored. Your angels are surrounding them, and they're coming home to me safely. You can't let your brain get off in bad directions. But Job, I don't want to get into the whole book of Job, and there's things that I'll just say that it's true that Job said them, but what he said wasn't true. Like, God didn't do anything bad to him. God didn't take stuff away. I just don't want to get into a teacher on the book of Job. I don't want preachers to say it's their favorite book. It's my least favorite, one of my least favorite books. I don't know why. I just don't really get that much. I learned a lot from it, but it doesn't inspire me for some reason. Maybe when I get older, I'll get it, but if we meditate on negativity, poor, bad things happening, you can manifest those, like I said, it may not be instantly, but if you walk around with a poor mentality, a lot of people, grow up, not without money, and you can hold on to that and keep visiting the past, and things can come up in your brain. Or with me, the thing I battle the most is I'm under the government, like the USDA and Fish and Wildlife can come to your business and go, we don't like that, you're out of business, right? So I don't like that stupid nonsensical power, because I know more about my animals than they do. And so I don't like that. And I don't think it should be legal, and I don't think it should happen. So sometime in my brain, I've had people here, they think they're the Men in Black with literally the matching smeared glasses, and they try to intimidate you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm 57, watched a lot of Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee movies and Jet Li movies growing up. Did martial arts for a long time. I got a lot of cool weapons. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put an end to this my way, and I'll have these little, highlight movie flashes, them coming and flipping off off the roof, taking out their legs, sending, and I'm just like, I have this little short movie reel, and then I'm like, yeah, and you still got kids to raise, a wife that loves you, and, Anaya, grandkids. So you got people around you that need you, so you can't be that stupid. You don't want to give Jesus a bad name. So I got to cast that out, right? If I wasn't a Christian and I was single, absolutely that scene would play out, right? But I got to cast that out and then envision and imagine they show up for inspection. They're nice as pie. I'm nice to them. They're like, you know what? This place is so awesome. We're not even going to come back. And I keep replacing this fun action movie in my brain that would not end well for any of us. I have to replace that with something that is not fleshly. That's all flesh. That is. And I have to replace that with, shaking hands. Hey, glad you guys are here. Thanks. Sorry, the fence post is leaning 3% to the left. We'll straighten that right out, because that's a real crime. So see, there I go again, digressing. But so I have to replace that stuff with just kind of how wonderful. I have to picture in my brain how I want it to be, and I got to meditate on that. And that can be a struggle. We're gonna have things that we struggle with, and if you don't, you're awesome. But I still do that a little bit. And we have to not let the world and our past and even people around currently influence, because unfortunately our past can influence you. The people that you speak to every day can influence you. I was just thinking of things that have influenced me over my life. Parents have influenced me a bunch. Family members have influenced me a bunch. School teachers have influenced me a bunch, and coaches. And then your environment that you're in, your neighborhood, can all play big roles. And we're going to get into that more after, but some are going to play very good roles. I have a teacher, Mrs. Simmons, who's probably not with us anymore, but in second grade, she was like the only teacher I ever that I felt like related to me until one teacher in high school, where I still remember in second grade her like being kind to me and sitting down and reading books to me. But that's one teacher out of the whole lot that was shuffled through. Parents and people are just telling you, you're dumb or you can't go anywhere, or just different things. There's good and bad, and we have to, be able to cast aside the bad. But we're gonna read about that a little bit after. So that's kind of just a breakdown of where we're going a little bit. And John 8:31 and 32, the Amplified Classic Version says, so Jesus said to those Jews who had believed in him, if you abide in my word, hold fast to my teachings, and live in accordance with them, you are truly my disciples. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay? So hold fast to the teachings of Jesus. We can't just, go to Bible study and half pay attention. We can't come to church and be thinking about what we're going to be eating after the whole time we're here. Church is not, church, we are the church, but the building we come to assemble together is not a box that you got to check off. And we'll probably talk more about this coming up because everybody knows Easter's coming up, right? Easter Sunday is on April 17th. And people that grew up like with a religious background who haven't been to church in a while, the guilt is going to start rising up. There's a reason why on Easter Sunday, churches are full, and then within a few weeks, usually you have one or two new people that might hang on, and then they're gone. There's a reason why churches plan and advertise and market, and then they'll come up with, if it's from God, it's fine, but if it's your idea, it's not going to work. If you come up and say, okay, so Easter Sunday, I'm going to start a series and leave it with a cliffhanger for 4 weeks so that people have to come back every week if they want to know. If it's a godly idea, I mean, probably our sermons aren't so exciting that the cliffhanger, they have to come back for it, right? Or they can watch it online if they have to. But it's, people feel guilt, they start to feel condemned, and then they go to a church and they can say, well, at least I was at church on Easter, big deal. Like if that's your attitude, stay home, save the gas. That's up to who knows what they'll be up to by Easter, right? Just stay home, sleep in, do your thing, because if that's your mental attitude, it's the same. Now, if you feel called and you just feel something stirring, go to church, but don't go to check the box to get rid of your guilt. Go there to expect something from Jesus. Expect somebody in the congregation to have a word for you. Expect to have an encounter with Christ. Every time you come to church, you should expect to have an encounter with Christ. If you're driving here or walking here or whatever, and on the way you're thinking, today I'm just gonna I know I'm gonna hear the voice of God. Just imagine something great happening, or you having a word for somebody, just start getting that into your mind and into your heart. And it says, in the truth, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The world is full of lies that we as the light have to help people get set free from the darkness and the light. Now, Jesus was the light. We were created in his image. So when God came to earth, who was a human, right? And his likeness, we're supposed to become more like Jesus every day. That's what I remind people. It's the whole Jesus, not just the lamb and not just the lion, but sometimes he's the lion. Sometimes you're called to war, and sometimes you're called to be peaceful, but you have to discern that. It's not just Jesus' love, so everything is okay. Because if you truly love somebody, you're not going to let them do the wrong thing. If you truly love your female child, right, at 5 years old, you're not going to say, oh, you like trucks? Maybe we should transition you to a boy. That's not love. That's insanity. That's demonic. Okay. So some of the things we have to try to undo the stupid of the world that's been done. Jamie agrees for sure. And you have to try to it's easier to stop something than it is to undo something, right? So it's good if we can try to stop some of the stupid that this generation is being sold, right? We want to stop it. See, that should have been the title of the sermon, Stop the Stupid, right? Before it takes root, because it's harder once it's in there. Then you got to rip it up. But Jesus, we're going to learn later that, I don't know today, but next week for sure, that Jesus is going to do that for us. So, how can we undo the stupid that we were told? How can we teach this generation to undo the stupid or not believe the lies at all? There are many lies. One of the big lies that's out there, and we all know, abortion, right? Abortion is a major lie where people say, oh, if you love the person and it's okay, and there are circumstances. If you look at the science behind it, there might be like 0.1% of cases, that have, something to them, the argument that people use. But we know, and I've heard many testimonies from people that did not get pregnant under their own will and still raised wonderful, godly children. God can take the worst case scenario and turn it into the most beautiful thing. He can take somebody that was conceived out of wedlock or even worse, and take that child and make him the president of the United States, not a demonic one, a real godly one. And then, can take him to the top of a company or to the mission field. The Lord can do, we can't say, well, you were born in these circumstances, you poor thing, your whole life, you can't do anything, because the Lord will take that child and do wonderful things. And even in science, modern science tells us, I'm just reading some things, there's always debate, but there are many scientists that say we can prove, and these are not creation scientists, these are just scientists that specialize in this field, that says from the moment of fertilization, the genetic makeup is complete. So everything that it takes for that child, once the egg is fertilized, is there. Now, what is it? It's like a seed. When you plant a seed to grow a tree, everything is there. It just needs time and water and nourishment, right? You don't have to go back and keep adding pieces to the seed to get the tree. Well, I put the seed in, that's going to be the roots. Now another seed's going to, make it flower. Then another seed's going to be for the apple. It's one seed with all the information. And the human is the same thing. It's just the moment of conception, everything we have is complete, but the baby needs time in the womb to grow. Time, if you give the baby time, like what the Lord says, seed time and harvest, right? So Jeremiah 1:5, Naya has this on her wall, right? Scott? Is this the scripture? I believe it says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So the first part of the scripture, the Lord says, before you were even in the womb, right? The Lord knew you. So you can't take something God knows, love, and throw it away. You can't do it. You just can't do that. We don't have a right to end what God started. Or the lie, you can be whatever gender or whatever thing the devil whispers in your ear. You can't be whatever gender you want. You can't be a hybrid. You can't if you're born a man, you're gonna have to deal with it and be a man. So instead of studying and cursing the fact that God made you a man, right? Then get some good godly books and read on what is expected out of a godly man. And if you read that and say, wow, this is what God made man to be like, and we all have different, things, that's fine, but just read and study of what is expected of a man. And then you meditate on that and you imagine yourself being like that, and you become the man that God created you to be. If you're born a woman, it's the same thing. The Bible is full of wonderful women that have done many, many great things. And there are many books out there that can tell you what a woman in God's eyes is. And so if you're born a man or a woman and you're uncomfortable in that, right, know that that's not from God, because he created you and knit you together as that man or woman. So if it's not God, then it's probably the devil trying to mess you up, because life can be confusing and hard enough without trying to figure out if you're a guy or a girl. right? So there are other things. The devil's trying to distract you. I believe that those people that have these major distractions is the Lord has something great for them. And the devil sees that. It's kind of like the Holy Spirit's downloading to you now. The Lord sees the God has a great plan for them. The devil sees that great plan, so he wants to stop it and add confusion into your life. So you can't be who God made you to be. I'm telling you, if you just cast that thing down and say, you know what, if you're a kid, little girl wants to play with trucks, that's fine. My kids all play. My girls play with trucks. I got all my girls' truck, but my daughter Jackie, she's 24 now. I bought her a dump truck. Val will play with dump trucks and all that. Dolls too. I got Jackie a dump truck, a big metal Tonka one, and we're playing outside. I leave the kid for 1 minute, and I go out there. She's got dolls in the bed of the truck with a blanket on it, right? So, and she turned the dump truck into a traveling crib, right? So she knew. My granddaughter Anaya, it's amazed me since she's been like 2 years old. We were doing like Mr. Potato Heads, and I'd be still, I'd put the wrong parts. She goes, Papa, that's not for boys, that's for girls. Like she knows, like God put that they just know. So embrace that and help your children grow, but don't be so. I think it's child abuse, and people should be persecuted for trying to transition their children. The kid is 5. He doesn't even know, what superhero is his favorite. Never mind if he wants to be. Are you insane? Like he's 5. They're 5 years old. Like there's something wrong with you. You need to have people pray over you and cast the demons out. Because let kids be kids. Don't people need to know about any of that stuff on any of that. So we need to, science. They're trying to get all. Oh, science needs to go deeper and get into the genetics and unfold, and we're not really sure what's a man or a woman. Yes, you are. You're absolutely sure. Check the luggage. It takes 2 seconds. You should know, right? And if you're confused over science because you're playing games, thank God we have the word Genesis 5:2 and Mark 10:6. It says that God made them male and female. I know some scientists are going to say, well, some people are born with, there are some things because we live in a fallen world, but you know what? There's still going to be a clear path.
DNA is still male or female.
Exactly. DNA is still male or female. So if you want to go deeper than a check under the hood, go to the DNA. Right, Val? She's in science, she can say that. So let me see, we'll go another minute and then we'll stop. Then there's your environment, right? Let me actually go back up here. Or maybe we're not going to go back up here. So maybe it's something more personal. Maybe it's not a big political issue like, transgenderism or abortion. Maybe it's something that your family or teachers, maybe they told you were stupid. I have memories, which they don't bother me anymore, of just being told, by my dad mostly, that you're stupid, and then it didn't matter if other people said you weren't, because that was the person who you looked up to. As far as in my house, my dad had no education, came over the boat from Italy, was in World War II, and still was able to make money. He didn't give it to us, but he was, being poor, but looking at someone that made money. I know to a lot of people, if your dad made all this money, how were you poor? Because he didn't give it to us. That's how. But you still. I looked up to him as a businessman. I always had in my God made me to be an entrepreneur, a businessman, a visionary. Because I always looked up to how my dad did those things. But then when that person you looked up to tells you you're stupid and you never go anywhere and you're nothing, that's not good. Or your teachers told you, that say things like you're going to be in prison or dead by the time you're 18. Just all kinds of different things that you could hear. We as a child, you look up to people and you can buy into their lies. But we have to remember it's the truth that will set you free. And 1 Corinthians 2:16 says, we have the mind of Christ. If someone says you're stupid, right? They're wrong because you actually have the mind of Christ. And so he knows all. We can, and the scripture says we can know what he knows because we have the same spirit as Christ. So we have to get rid of the worldly stuff and understand that the mind of Christ is brilliant and that we can be smart in different ways and have different talents and gifts, because if we all were made the same intelligence in the same way, it would be pretty boring. So we have to remember we're not, like I always tell my kids, and you know, it's good to tell yourself, if the Lord tells you something, right, and then the world tells you something, if they don't line up, somebody is wrong, right? When these kids were you know, saying bad things online about one of my daughters and whatnot, there was no truth to it. You know, my daughters they look like their mom. They're beautiful. They're sweet. They're kind. You know, if someone's saying something opposite of that, then you have to go, you know, they're wrong. Either they're wrong or God's wrong, and God's not wrong. When God says you're fearfully, wonderfully made, you know, that God says in Ephesians 2:10 that we are his masterpiece. He says in James 1:18 we are his prized possession. Those are the things, that's the truth, because that's what God says about you. So if the other people say, Philippians 4:13 says we can do all things through Christ. So when school teacher says, you know, you're going to be nothing. Well, you don't seem to like your job very much because all you do is yell at little kids all day. So maybe you're not all that either. Maybe that's why I wasn't allowed to stay there for very long, right? Kids don't say that. Just say, no, I can do all things through Christ. So we'll end there, I think. Actually, no, that's fast, right? So I'm not gonna go another. I'll go a couple of minutes. I'll go from there. So maybe I want to get through that because we covered, you know, a few things, but maybe it's the environment in your neighborhood. I grew up in Silver Lake in Wilmington, right? And you didn't really see it as much, but as you got a little older, I went to a middle school called the West Intermediate, and then there was a North Intermediate. I'm sure all our incomes were pretty similar, but like the West Intermediate kids and the Silver Lake kids were, you know, like had a reputation of being like punks and poor, and then the other kids, you know, North Intermediate had the nicer houses and stuff, I guess, and they're just different. But there was some kids from the North I knew that were very much like us, but it was just that you were told, okay, you're a late kid, and you guys are kind of the lower, you know, like if you had a zoo and you're the reptile curator, the mammal curators are the snobs. Like it's not like a mammal curator can walk like they're kings and queens. All I've seen, trust me, like through the reptile thing, if they want to lower themselves. Not all zoos, but a lot. And then the reptile people, you know, they go into the mammal house, you know, heaven forbid the gorilla exhibits, and they're like, oh, scum of the earth is here, reptile people, right? So it's just weird the way things have clicks. But it was kind of like that. And so you grew up and already you hear little things, the grumblings about the lake people, and then as you get older, you know, middle school for us was 7th and 8th grade. Oh, you went Western Intermediate. It's trouble. All the trouble poor kids go there. So that's not true. Plenty of rich people, I'm sure, that went to the Western Intermediate. But this is like the image that's created. And then you know, I remember going to a kid's house. I was the goalie for a hockey team. I was like maybe 10, 11 years old, whatever. And I'm at his house. My mother thinks St. Patrick's Day is the greatest because my dad was off the boat from Italy and they hated each other, right? By the time I was born. So my mother, St. Patrick's Day, even though St. Patrick technically Italian, was the biggest holiday in the house. So my mother brought me this ugly green velvet jacket. It was bad, and I had it, and for some reason I had a couple of these other things. I don't remember. One was like a little punching bag and just a couple little things. And then I go to my friend's house for the hockey sleepover, and I see in his closet this velvet jacket. Now he was from North Wilmington. And his house was nice, and the family had the kids were, you know, good look. Like everything was just, it was like, you know, the family you'd put on a postcard, right? And my family was not the family you'd put, maybe like Mad Magazine or horror movie or something, right? So, so we're over there, and I said his name was Paul. I said, hey, oh, I said, wow, I have that same jacket, right? And he looked at some of the other kids like, there's no way he has that same jacket. And I caught it. But I knew he wouldn't say anything because he would be afraid I would beat the daylights out of him. right? And so then he had a couple other things. It was bizarre because I had the same things he had. I was like, oh, I can't believe it. I had that. I had that. And they all looked at me like, oh, it's so sad. Look at the little poor kid in his plastic shoes saying he has his, saying he has the same things that people in a nice house from Northland have. Sad. It's just sad, you know? And then I could see it. I was getting mad, so I walked away because I'm like, I'm about to jump on these kids and like bite their face off. I didn't have problems as a kid. I didn't get problems with it. Right? So I think completely dealt with them, right? So I'm thinking it, and I hear them. I hear the chatter, right? Doesn't matter. I hear the chatter, and so now I'm so angry that I'm going to kill them all or I'm going to leave. So I go out and I ask Robin. I went and asked them if I could use their phone because the dial phones back then. And I called my mother and I had my mother come and pick me up. And I just was thinking, I'm walking around like, I'm gonna kill these kids, and I'm thinking I'm gonna disappoint
I don't see any problem.
my hockey coach. Like I loved my hockey coach, and I'm like, if I go and beat up the team, the coach is gonna be disappointed.
It's a lie.
I know because later on in life, I did beat up a kid on my team at my house, and my coach was disappointed in me. But so I left, and I just remember just thinking is like my neighborhood so bad that somebody couldn't believe that I had a couple of the same things they had? But that was the feel of it. That was the environment. And then fast forward many years, I have this business. My older brother's working with me. He's doing a show in like Burlington or something. And we had these name tags that used to go on our pins on, So he's got Jack Laquadera, and a guy goes, Laquadera. He's not related to those animals that live down by Silver Lake in Wilmington. And that's we're grown men. I'm living in Bolton. He's in Wilmington, Tewksbury. He's in Burlington, and they're like, they see the name. Like you're not related to those animals that grew up in Silver Lake. And he's like, yeah, head animal. And so the reputation and what we created can follow you, and it can impact you. And it was just amazing to see as a kid, and then many years later the same thing. So it's important that we are going to stop there, and next week I'll just go over a couple things. I'm going to show you some scriptures that's going to help us if we're dealing with anything from the past or anything like that, giving it to Jesus, because it says in the Bible that Jesus will tear up the roots. But we have to remember, you have to let him tear up the roots. He's not going to fight you to tear up your roots. You have to say, Jesus, I don't want these roots. I have work to do. We all have work to do. But if you let him tear up the roots, he will. And then we're going to continue with this at least for another week. Or Dean's probably ready to say at least 4 weeks, right? So just know that any issues that you have, the truth will set you free. Jesus will help you. But outside of Jesus, if you look around, the world doesn't have much to offer us these days. So tune in next week, show up in person. Don't forget April 9th. If you've never given your life to Jesus, it's so easy. All you have to do is believe that Jesus went to the cross for you, died on the cross for you, was raised 3 days later, and just say, Jesus, I believe that. Now I want you to come into my heart and let's just do life together. And he'll move literally right into your heart. And then when you leave this earth, you do go to heaven, but you could walk a very blessed, powerful life on earth and be a blessing to many others with Christ. So, amen. That's it.
Wait, don't end it yet.
Oh,
Don't end it yet, I said.
yeah.
All right, the stream is over. We're just going to try to figure out a technical difficulty. So if I hit this and I do
will show that. Look, when you have the water, and you said you should have like a screen block. I specifically use this, so